Hello everybody, N601, Ron Victor here, and today I am covering a topic I've been wanting to do for quite a while, which is Mattel. I used to review Mattel figures, I've completely stopped. The other week I did a live stream about ranking my favorite Mattel figures, and today it's to do with Mattel, but if you guys have already seen the thumbnail, it's about their distribution problems. By distribution, by that I mean the way they release their figures. Because I've noticed that people have had a lot, and I mean a lot of problems with these. And in this video I'm just going to go over my problems with it, my personal experiences. I also have a guest at the end of the video who will probably say his own experiences. And let's just cut to the chase and start with the first few figures, I guess, which I have experience with. Okay, the first of the three things that we're going to cover is the Legacy line. The Legacy line is infamous, I guess, for having very bad distribution problems. Meanwhile, when it comes to England, we have a store called Smith's Toy Superstores, which has the Legacy which has the Legacy line exclusively. Just from my personal experience, the only thing that the Legacy line lacks in England is that there aren't a single human figures. Like, I know it's not really that big of a deal, but because most of the figures aren't really that good, at very most I'd say that Muldoon is a B. But what I'm really concerned here is about, what about other Jurassic fans? What about other people that want to get their hands on these legacy humans? Because I remember, at the store, we don't have legacy humans, but yet we have legacy vehicles. What's the whole point of having legacy vehicles if you have no legacy humans? It's just that's one that's one of my major gripes with it, because I remember, like, at the beginning of the line, I pretty much wanted everything, even the figures that I didn't like. And at the time I really wanted those legacy human figures. And now, looking back at it, I'm kind of happy I didn't go and seek them out. It's just, who knows? There's probably somebody out there in England who really wants to get their hands on these human figures. Like, die-hard Jurassic collectors who really want these human figures. Since stores aren't selling them, they'll have to go elsewhere to buy them. Places like Amazon, which I don't even know if sells them, if they might, or eBay, where they'll most likely be overpriced. So I'd say the lack of human figures is definitely one of my main gripes with the human. With the Legacy line. I apologize for my mistake there, but I don't really have any problems with Legacy line. The only other complaints I have is that we don't have some exclusive dinosaurs for the Legacy line, because, for example, the small Legacy dinosaurs, we used to have every single one of them, but now they're all gone, apart from one, which is the juvenile T-Rex. Which is disappointing, because looking back at it, I really wish I got that Pachycephalosaurus. But no, it's all juvenile T-Rexes, even though I do plan on picking up that juvenile T-Rex eventually, probably along with the other smaller T-Rex. Is that why order all of these T-Rexes in the first place? Meanwhile, you can have this bigger range of figures which are most likely to sell better. And on other dinosaurs, I don't really have any issues. It's just that, okay, there is that double pack with the bull T-Rex and the juvenile T-Rex. People don't like it, but I really do, and probably, and probably other people like it as well. That isn't sold in stores in England for some reason. I don't know, and and that does disappoint me because I really like the bull T-Rex. Would probably be the closest that I could get to having a bull T-Rex besides the Kenner one, which I can't get because I've seen how expensive those things are on eBay. And also, by the way, there's this situation going on with the Brachiosaurus. Okay, okay. Smith's Toy Superstores sells the Legacy line. If you want anything Legacy related, you go straight towards there. But for the Brachiosaurus, probably one of the most anticipated figures for the lines, Smith's isn't stocking it. Instead, a different store is called Argos. It's pronounced Argos and these dinosaur reviews, not Argos. For some reason, Argos is selling the Brachiosaurus along with the Colossal T-Rex. But why? When a line is a store exclusive, shouldn't you want to go to this one store and be able to find everything? Yet again, that might not be Mattel's fault. That might be the store's fault because I understand that because I understand that stores decide what they want to choose to stock a year early, and it's really up to them if they want to stock it or not. So they might not have wanted to stock the Brachiosaur due to it being a risky investment. So maybe they just passed and Argos picked it up as well. But it's just annoying. I would have preferred to go to Smith's, see the entire see what we have for the entirety of the Legacy line, along with the Brachiosaurus, other than going to one store for this one specific figure. But I can't really complain because at least we're getting it. So by the way, I didn't mention the Spinosaurus during all of that because over here in England we have tons of Spinosauruses, so I haven't had any personal troubles obtaining the Spinosaurus. Meanwhile, I am aware that there's this controversy going on about, ooh, the Spinosaurus is really hard to find. Ooh, the Spinosaurus is nearly impossible to find in other countries, but I've been completely fine with finding the Spinosaurus. But apart from all the stuff I've already mentioned, I haven't had any other problems with the Legacy line. So now let's mainly move on to one which I do have problems with, which is the battle damage line. Okay, and now we are on to what I think is the main problem over here in England, which is the battle damage figures. Because, as far as England is concerned, these battle damage figures don't exist. As far as England is confirmed, these figures are unobtainable because throughout my whole entire year of collecting these, well, a year and a few months, I have not seen a single battle damage figure in stores. Ugh. I mean, yes, Matthew the Dinosaur King did find one. And keep in mind, that is one out of many. I have gone to quite a few stores to try and find these, and not a single one has shown up. Because we have a store over here in England called Asda, which is a part of the Walmart family. Asda is basically England's version of Walmart. And since Walmart's got the battle damage figures in, Since Asda is a part of the same company, you would assume that Asda would give battle damage figures in as well. This was confirmed by Matthew the Dinosaur King when he found them at Asda. Or found one at Asda. And now, you can't find a single one. You never could. Which is very disappointing because I really wanted to get quite a few of them. Because blue. That battle damage blue, in my opinion, is one of the best figures in the whole entire line. Because for a whole entire year, that was the best blue available. The only other blue available at the time was the normal one. Sold in attack packs, I think they were called. And now, yes, there is a superior figure to the battle damage blue, which is a blue that has slashing claws, but it took us a whole year over here in England to get a good blue figure. And keep in mind that blue is one of the main franchise dinosaurs, along with the T-Rex. And it took them this long to get an actual good blue figure in. And in fact, it's just ignoring blue, we have other things as well. For example, the Albertosaurus. I love this figure. I love how good it looks. I love its feature. I love this figure. But guess what? I am not able to get it. Do you know why? Because Asda doesn't sell it. Do you know the plesiosaur? Oh yeah, one of the most unique figures in the whole entire line. Oh no. We can't get that because it's only a battle damage. And you know what? We don't sell battle damage. Just ignoring me, there's probably a bunch of other people that want these figures as well. The only other way to get these figures is to go to a foreign country and get them. But sadly, last year, when I went on holiday to Florida, I had to leave the day before these came out. If I was there for an extra day, I could have got my hands on some of these battle damage figures, but no. But along with that, I could also buy them online, but on there, they cost an arm and a leg. For example, the Albertosaurus. I'm pretty sure by itself in England, it costs £40, and it probably costs like an extra 10 for shipping, which means £50. It would cost £50 to get this thing over here in England. In my opinion, the battle damage line is superior to the legacy line. But you know what? No! We can't have it. We can't have battle damage figures. I know I sound like a spoiled brat and I'm like, ugh, I want it. But no! I only want a select few of these. I'd love to get my hands on the blue, the Albertosaurus, the Plesiosaurus, and I'm trying to think of a few more I like the look of. I don't know, I'll probably need another way to remind myself, but it's very disappointing to not be able to get my hands on these figures, and I won't be able to get it. People over here in England will be unable to get these now and we'll probably never be able to. So now we're gonna move on to what is probably now we're gonna move on to the one out of the three that probably matters the most, which is normal Mattel figures. Even though I say that the battle damage line is the most disappointing about the Mattel range in England, I'd say the normal figures are the most important, because there are essential figures which we don't have access to. One of the main examples is the Carnotaurus, because a few months after I came home from Florida, my auntie went as well, and while she was away, I asked her if she could get me the Carnotaurus, and since she's such a nice auntie, she got the Carnotaurus for me. And you know what? If she didn't then, I wouldn't have it. This figure It's one of the most essential figures in the line. It's one of the most popular, it's one of the most praised, and it's one of the most important figures in my opinion. And do you know what? If I didn't ask her, I wouldn't be able to have this figure in my hands. And from there, that just makes me think about unfortunate people who aren't as lucky as me and who aren't able to get this figure, because figures like these aren't sold in the UK. The Carnotaurus and the Stegosaurus were part of like this savage strike line, I think they're called. Actually, no. That's a different line. I forget what these guys were called. But, yes. The Carnotaurus and Stegosaurus, the Gaming Beaver, did find them at a store. A store that is miles away on the first week. And do you know what? After that first week, it was unattainable. So, I'm pretty sure if I didn't ask my auntie to get that for me, I wouldn't have the Carnotaurus. And, for example, I don't have the Stegosaurus. I don't have the green one. Instead, I've got to put up with the brown one, which I think is superior. But at least I have these two figures. But from that, I just think about other unfortunate people, kids, children, who want the Carnotaurus and who are unable to get it due to the place they live. It's not just the Carnotaurus. It's the Mosasaurus as well. Yeah, you know the Mosasaurus? Once again, one of the most praised figures. A fan favorite figure. One of the most anticipated figures. Due to it being one of the most popular creatures from Jurassic World franchise. Due to it being a real field dinosaur. Due to it being in scale with every other figure. And do you know what? We don't have it. If you live in England, you can't get the Mosasaurus, the Carnotaurus, and the Green Stegosaurus. These are essential figures from Wave 1. And do you know what? We don't have them. If you want to get these figures, you have to pay you have to ship them in from foreign countries for overpriced prices. Normal figures like these, that we shouldn't have a problem with. Figures like these, which we shouldn't have distribution problems. But no! These figures are unobtainable in England. That is very, very disappointing in my opinion. And along with the Stegosaurus, Mosasaur and Carno, we also have the entire Savage Strike line. Which is stuff like, the new Pouncing Blue, the Styracosaurus, the Monolithosaurus, the Dilophosaurus, the Tapijara, and the Dimetrodon. That was wave 1 of it! And do you know what? Only Smith stocked these. And do you know what? For a limited time. That is why I do not have the Styracosaurus. One of my favorite dinosaurs. I do not have. Instead, I had no other choice but to order it from the website called Jurassic Toys. But I ordered it like nearly a month ago. And if anybody has used the Jurassic Toys website, can you please confirm if it's a scam or not? Because I've been waiting ages for this and they keep on delaying it. But apart from that, apart from Styracosaurus, I can't get any of the other figures. Do you know why? Because they're out of stock everywhere else. I didn't know they were a limited time figures. So I can't get my hands on the Monolithosaurus, which is really disappointing because the only other way to get it was in the barrel damage line. And do you know what? We don't have that either. So do you know what? The Monolithosaurus is impossible to find in England. Along with the Dimetrodon, which we can't have, along with that other blue sold separately, which yes we can sort of have, but no. If you wanted that separately, you can't have it. That was wave 1 of these Savage Strike lines. Meanwhile, we also have Wave 2, which includes Blue, the Dilophosaurus, the Velociraptor, Pachycephalosaurus, and probably some other figure that I've forgotten. But those 5 figures was Wave 2, and happily I was able to get my hands on them, but that was just because I went to Ireland that weekend and they had them there, and due to them being limited editions, now they are pretty much unavailable. Considering all of this, I'm lucky for when it comes to the Savage Strike line. Because to the Savage Strike line, I was able to get my hands on Blue, the Dilophosaur, and the Velociraptor. And if Jurassic Toys isn't a scam, I'll be getting the Styracosaurus as well. But what about other people? What about other people who really wanted these figures? What about children? What about children who really wanted these toys? What about adult collectors who really want these figures? And who now have to pay who now have to pay really high prices to get them in from foreign places? They are now the only options for these figures that nobody else has any problems with. If you go to America, they don't have any of these problems apart from Spinosaurus, which I know about at least. These, the Carnotaurus, the Mosasaurus, Stegosaurus, the Savage Strike line, they are normal figures. They are not exclusives. You should be able to find these figures anywhere. And do you know what? They are unobtainable. Either you can't find them, or they're only there for a limited amount of time. I'm disappointed. I know I sound like a spoiled brat, but not just for me, but for other people as well. I understand this might not be entirely Mattel's fault. I understand this is probably more of the store's fault, because it's up to them if they should stock it or not. In that case, shame on you! People want these. At least make it aware that these figures are away for a limited amount of time. Because the way I found out about the Savage Strike line being a limited time was second-hand. Was from watching a Pterodome 3000 video. If I hadn't have watched that, I most likely wouldn't have had the Dilophosaurus, the Blue, and the Velociraptor from Savage Strike line. And the Velociraptor from Savage Strike line is essential to something that I'm making. I was lucky when it comes to these figures. So, I just feel sorry to anybody who hasn't had the same luck as me. Anyways, those are my opinions and my problems with Mattel's distribution around the UK. And now, let me introduce my special guest, zainreborn, who will tell you, at least from his experience, what is wrong with distribution in Canada. And this is Domsec01 passing on to zainreborn.
Okay, hello, zainreborn here. I assume I'm just added to the end of the video here, so I'm just gonna, also because this video, I'm pretty sure I'm not sure how much editing Indominus did to the video, but according from what I saw, the video was quite long, so I'll just try to keep my bit as short as possible since I'm only the guest and not the main star. So then, my experience with Mattel. Let me just go ahead and say that when Mattel figures were like these dinosaur figures, because I can't just say Mattel figures, because otherwise I could also talk about Thomas figures. I say that, and this is not a Mattel Thomas figure. At least, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on these, on like the toy companies, and I don't really look this stuff up. I just go with it. Anyway, when they first started releasing these Fallen Kingdom toys, it was just like they would release the toys a week after they would come out in the USA. Like, a week, 2 weeks after they've been out, they would start to appear in my Toys R Us and Walmart and all that stuff. Of course, they started out small. It would just be like those rev up toys, like some Jeeps, some vehicles. None of the dinosaurs actually. Though I will say the first toys I got were Battle Damage Blue and the Thrash and Throw T-Rex. I saw those at Walmart, and so from then on, I would just the collection would keep growing. There would be like every now and then I'd see more of the toys, like a week after, like 2 weeks after they show up in the USA, I start to see them in Canada. So pretty balanced. I think the only problem was that the Legacy Edition, Indominus says that they're very exclusive. Like some people have no access to them other than in the USA and whatever that England or whatever like that shop he said. I think it was Smithy's he said. So yeah, I did miss out on the Spinosaurus. I mean, I could have if I wanted to drive gone with my grandparents to the USA, go to Target and pick one up, but I didn't. I'm not sure why. I guess I was hoping like some sort of miracle that it would show up in Toys R Us, even though I knew it was impossible because Destructosaurs are unique to Toys R Us. I will say that the thing the Canada has that not many other people have is the Destructosaurs. Like they are like I saw a bunch of Destructosaurs back in Toys R Us. We had that T-Rex, we had that giant Pteranodon, which was way too expensive. So I don't have any Destructosaurs, but I did see them. I just didn't think they were. I didn't buy them because I didn't think they were worth the price. I mean, there was a really nice looking Velociraptor, but it was, I just skipped out on it. So then I think February 2019 is when we started seeing the Dino Rivals show up. Like there was a Parasaurolophus, the Concha Venator, that Triceratops, no Suchomimus and no Stegosaurus. But then Easter and onwards, nothing has changed. All I see are like the old, like the Rorovor's Pteranodon, the Thrash and Throw T-Rex, Superposable Indoraptor, Grab and Growl Indoraptor, that really expensive Mosasaurus playset, the one that comes with the Indominus skeleton and the submarine. I also see the submarine individually, a bunch of those baby dinosaurs, and basically all the old stuff. I don't see any Dino Rival stuff, except for I just recently went there, and I saw like there's one Stegosaurus, and there's like a bunch of that new gray T-Rex that I don't want because it looks weird. And I also see a bunch of Stiggies. I see some Rev Up Stiggies now. But in other words, no sign of any of the new Dino Rivals. So, also, Walmart has... I went to my local Walmart as well, and there is nothing Jurassic World related there, except for some humans and those weird baby dinosaur things. So I think the only way I'm going to get the rest of the dinosaurs on my wish list is to go down to the USA and buy them at Targets or Walmarts. But I'm not sure if they're... I mean, the only ones on my wish list now are the Quetzalcoatlus, the Amargasaurus, that new Spinosaurus whenever it comes out, that Brachiosaurus definitely, and the Plesiosaurus. Those are the 5 things I want. Unless they introduce something else I want. I mean, that weird herbivore thing, it also looks pretty cool. But anyway, that's pretty much my experience with Mattel. Started out pretty normal, what I expected, but then after that, I think they just stopped coming. Maybe it's just where I am right now. Curse you, Blue. You ruined it. You couldn't last one more minute. Okay, well, I guess that's what I get for filming on, like, a carpet. So, yeah, that's my, they just sort of stopped coming. I'm not sure if they've just stopped coming entirely, or if they just slowed down the progression even further, because I still see... Because there are a lot more of those new T-Rexes, biting T-Rexes, or whatever it's called. And I did see that Stegosaurus, so I still think the only way that, like, they either stopped entirely, or they're just slowly adding more things, or every time new things are added, they get bought immediately, because there are a lot of empty spaces on that shelf. Also, because Indominus was basically making this video sound very depressing, and I'm not sure this segment helped, I'm just gonna show. I just went ahead and put together a bunch of my entire Jurassic World Mattel line collection, as well as some extra toys that I threw in here to make this thing as crazy as possible. So yeah, I'm just hoping this like lightens up the mood a bit. I didn't include my my Jeep though because I need that for something else right now. So yeah, this is why you buy toys, people. Not to play with them, but just to throw them into the weirdest poses you can ever think of. So yeah, thanks for watching. Do I do the outro, or is Indominus gonna do the outro? Anyway, yep, just bye. I guess this is Zain Reborn roaring to victory. Roar. That's how it's done, right?